welcome to the Car Sim and Race Driver Show, presented by Hugh Hattrick. Here at Bathurst in the Forest, my very special guest, Basic Ollie, Rascal, Rabbit, Josh Martin. It's great to have you back on the show. Drive fast and try not to crash.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Car Sim and Race Driver Show with me, Hugh Hattrick. Now, I hope you're all well and having a fantastic week. I think I'm picking up a little bit of echo. Hopefully, you're not getting that. But our very special guest, all the way from Scotland, that's right, a few miles away from me, it is DeadEyeDelboy. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Now, the big question on everybody's lips is, how did your gaming career start? What was it that you first played, and how did it all start?
Well, it goes probably all the way back to the sort of late 1980s, when my older sister, Vicky, she got a ZX Spectrum 48K for her Christmas one year. Now, me being a bit younger, I wasn't old enough to get a computer, so this was fascinating to me. And basically over time, I basically kind of stole it off her. And one of the reasons for that was because I got a game, which was obviously in tape form back then, but it was called Chase HQ.
Oh, yeah.
And Chase HQ I was instantly hooked on it because I was driving a Porsche 928 police car, trying to catch the bad guys. So I was maybe about sort of 8 or 9 years old, and this was just amazing to me. So I kind of got hooked on Chase HQ, and then Outrun, driving a Ferrari Testarossa. So I'd always kind of had a fascination with cars. My dad was a mechanic, so there was always things happening with cars in the driveway, and he was always tinkering about with them under the bonnet. So, going to driving games on the computer was just natural to me. So Chase HQ and Outrun on the ZX Spectrum. And then it just kind of progressed from there because obviously my computers and consoles moved on and on. Through the kind of generations of computers and consoles and how they did, so I ended up getting a Commodore Amiga when I got a bit older. So I had an Amiga 500, and I just managed to pick up obviously a lot of games, because back then you could get a game for about 50 pence per disc, depending on where you went to in the barras market. So anybody from Scotland will be well frequented with the barras. If you kind of looked about, you could find some stalls which would sell you a sort of pirate game for 50p a disc, so you weren't having to shell out 10, 15, 20 quid for the real deal, So I picked up a lot of games, a lot of card games back then. So yeah, things like Lotus Esprit Turbo Challenge, and I think there was one called Crazy Cars where you got to drive a Ferrari F40. There was a game as well, Jaguar XJ220 it was just called. And basically all these games just were things I got hooked on. And I think it was probably because you were racing and you were being competitive, and you could race against your friends and, slipstream, sort of split screen. You could have a joystick each, and you sort of sit in front of your little telly and race against each other. So things like that were just amazing to me. And one of my favourite games also was a game called Ivan Stewart Iron Man Super Off-Roader. And, most of these games you could also play in arcades as well. So it was just one of these things. I had them for the computer, and then I would go on holiday. We did a lot of caravan holidays, so we would go around the arcades, and You know, my mum and dad would give me some money, and I would just go and find either Chase HQ or Outrun or whatever game I could find in the arcade, which I had the sort of rubbish computer version of back then. So I would just these were all the games. So things like that were always sort of within me when I was kind of growing up, sort of my sort of younger teens. But just the way things went, I think I then eventually got a PlayStation, and I had the original Gran Turismo, which again was, when you see it now, it's funny when you see people streaming it now, doing like sort of retro streams. It just looks rubbish now, but you watch it back then, it was so far advanced from what I had sort of grown up with on a spectrum. So you didn't think it was rubbish at the time. I was amazing at the time. So, but after Gran Turismo, the first one, it was maybe about 15, 16 back then when the first PlayStation came out, and just through the way your life evolves, I kind of fell away from playing computer games because other things took my interest, you know. So I just eventually kind of fell out of playing games. I never played another Gran Turismo until Gran Turismo Sport, believe it or not. But yeah, that only happened because I had an Xbox One that sat there gathering dust a lot of the time because I played like FIFA and stuff on it. But it sat gathering dust. But I had one racing game which was Forza, and I had Forza 7. And it sat there gathering dust until, I don't know how I ended up seeing this, but I ended up in one of these YouTube rabbit holes, and I came across Super GT's channel, and I think I must have been searching for like Forza videos to see how people got better at it because it was pretty rubbish. And I came across Super GT's channel, and then I seen that he played Gran Turismo on a wheel, and I was like, oh, a steering wheel, that might make racing a bit more fun. But I thought to myself, how am I going to put that one by the wife? How am I going to tell her that I want to go and buy a steering wheel for a console at this stage of my life? And having shown no real, it's not as if there was any inkling, there was like no build up to this. It was just, and it was quite close to Black Friday, and it all just kind of came together. I seen a deal in a well-known electrical shop in this country, Curry's. I seen they were doing a Black Friday deal on a G920 wheel pedal set for, it was 150 quid, so it was half price. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to buy that. So I kind of said, like, I'm going to do this, but I don't think my wife thought I was being serious until I just came home. I just, after work one day, I just went and got it, came home with it. There it was in its box, and I think she just thought, all right, what are you going to do with that now? So I thought, well, I'm going to set it up. And I set it up on it was like a tiny little table, and plugged it into the telly in the living room and gave it a go and enjoyed it. It was terrible at first. Force feedback and stuff like that was like a new thing to me. So I was like, wow, this is bizarre. Your car actually spins when you just hit the accelerator. It wasn't like playing an arcade. So, at this point, I thought, I'm going to get good at this if it takes all my time. So that was what I did. I thought, I'm not going to rest until I can start winning some races in this. So that's what happened. I got better. I got good enough that I started winning a few races, although it was terrible. The Forza lobbies were just horrific. So occasionally you would get a good race. But eventually, my wife just got fed up with it being constantly just sitting there in the middle of the living room, connected to the TV, and she said, "No." And with the G920, it came with a little pamphlet that advertised play seats. It was the first time I'd really even seen a rig. I knew obviously like that was semi-affordable, so I was like, "Oh, look at this!" I just kind of throw away stuff and said, "Look, you can actually get a rig for it. Look, it looks like you're sitting in a race seat." And she was like, "Don't be so silly, that's crazy." So that was that, and I never really thought anything of it. And then Christmas Day arrived, and my wife went, "Go and look in the garage, go and get me something," or whatever it was. So I went out to the garage and they're wrapped up as this big box. And I was like, what the heck is that? So I managed to lift it up and bring it in. She was like, right. I was like, what is this? She's like, it's your Christmas. And I was like, right, okay. So I opened it up. And what was it? It was a Playseat Evolution. And I thought, oh, she doesn't know what she's let herself in for. So that was that. So before you knew it, I had a Playseat Evolution and I had a steering wheel and I had Forza and an Xbox, which quickly turned into a lot more. And it's now I've moved on to the setup that I've got. But yeah, it all came from this, absolute desire to just become good at Forza that I ended up picking it all up and getting my current setup. So really, it's my wife's fault. That's the way I look at it.
Well, absolutely brilliant. I have to say that is the best story we've had yet. The best introduction yet of how you started gaming and how you are where you are today. Now, the big question, the second question that I knew everyone would want to ask, and it was asked very early on by Sir Max Turbo 101.
Yeah, Sir Max.
Yeah.
Legend.
Said, how did you get your username, DeadEyeDelboy? And how does the wife deal with you when you race into the night?
Right, well, yeah, DeadEyeDelboy, that came about, obviously my mates called me Delboy anyway, so, that's just what people in this country call people called Derek. We just get called Del, so, and so affectionately became Delboy from Only Fools and Horses, so, yeah, everybody just calls me Delboy. So I thought I'm going to have to incorporate that in. So again, it goes back to when I had my Xbox 360 and I played at FIFA and Call of Duty were the two games that I really played all the time on it. So Call of Duty, I just thought, right, well, I'm going to have something that kind of gives an idea of my style, which was basically sniping people from distance. So you've got to be quite accurate for that. So that's where the Deadeye came into it. So I just thought, what kind of goes with Delboy? And I just thought, I don't know, it just sprung to mind Deadeye. So I thought DeadEyeDelboy, that became my Call of Duty name. So it just kind of obviously fell by the wayside when I stopped playing Call of Duty in probably about 2013 or something like that. And then when I had to create a PSN, I just thought, you know what? I can't think of anything else. I'm just going to use DeadEyeDelboy and I'll just go with that. And that is basically how it came about. In terms of how my wife deals with me racing into the night, because obviously Sir Max is obviously one of our US drivers, although he hails from these shores in the UK, but he obviously sees me quite a bit on, tends to be like PX Cam's streams, because I like to, PX Cam's obviously starts streaming near midnight, so he streams to about 3 in the morning, and I'm a bit of a night owl. So, she basically goes to her bed, and I then sort of say, right, well, I'm just going to have a quick shot of Gran Turismo, which normally ends up being a couple of hours worth, but well, I mean, the room that I'm currently in is the furthest point away from the bedroom. I used to be in the room which was right next door to the main bedroom, but she couldn't stand it. The rumbling, especially if you're driving Dragon Trail, those curbs. So she couldn't stand the rumbling of the curbs, particularly at Dragon Trail. So we decided that I would move into another room, and the good thing about that was I was able to sort of race later into the night because she can't hear me. So yeah, she copes admirably. But yeah, she's got the patience of a saint when it comes. And I think probably anybody who lives with a sim racer needs to have the patience of a saint, because we are annoying. We are very annoying. It's a very annoying hobby. The fact that we can be so hooked on something like motor racing, and we're able just to go and do it at a whim in another room in the house. It's never just for 10 minutes. It's not. I mean, she wonders how I can, play it for so long without stopping. And as everybody will know, who's in the chat or whatever, and yourself will know that you know, 2, 3, 4 hours can just absolutely fly by when you're racing. It's such a sort of time vortex. You just end up, you know, going on, and yeah, she just probably accepts it more than anything now.
Oh, that's fantastic. And just very quickly, well, we've got so many people in the chat asking questions, and we will get to more of your questions in a minute. If you like what you're saying, and I know that you are, we've got lots of other interviews as well with people like Super GT. We had Darren Turner on a couple of weeks ago. We've had Liam Harper. We've had Tidney. We've had the Key 25. We've had a host of racing drivers as well, like David Perel, and many more to come. So if you like all of this, then please hit the subscribe button, and there's a special prize if you do, because we are raising a fund to start a sim racing centre here in the northeast of England. And for all the subs of the Car Sim and Race Driver Show, the Hugh Hattrick channel, you will get a free session if you turn up to the sim racing centre. So it's definitely worth a trip to the northeast when you're ready. But please hit that subscribe button. That would be fantastic. Now, I'll get back to your questions. Here we go. So, what are your favourite combinations, Delboy?
I mean, to be honest with you, in terms of GT Sport, because I was kind of so late to it, there's probably a lot of combinations that I've just never done. But unfortunately, PD tend to just throw up the same combinations all the time. So you end up I've probably got a more limited sort of selection to choose from than most, because I tend to just focus on the tracks that are being raced that week and try and learn them. So, but I've got two kind of favourite combinations. One is I would say maybe three actually. I love Group 2 cars, and I love racing them at both Suzuka and at Fuji. So I love the downforce in the Group 2 cars. You can really just put your foot to the floor, and I've got quite a heavy right foot, so they kind of suit me in the sense that if you're on like a good combination and you've got soft tyres and plenty of grip and a lot of downforce, they've got the kind of downforce that I really like. But I also love Group 3 at Interlagos. Interlagos, again, it was a track that I did. I think it was when I got GT Sport, it was one of the first races I did, was a Group C, Group 3 race at Interlagos. And I just love the layout. I love the way Interlagos kind of flows. And the thing I quite enjoy about probably Suzuka and Interlagos is they're not the easiest tracks to overtake, and I quite like tracks which aren't easy to overtake, because I'm probably not aggressive enough as a driver when it comes to GT Sport. So I quite like tracks where you just need to be quite technical on, where you need to know your braking points, hit your marks, and you know, your consistency will kind of win out. So, you know, set a good quality so you're in the sort of near the front, and then let your just be able to maybe follow the faster guys in front, and just let the consistency of maybe over 4 or 5 laps, you know, you're picking up a few tenths each time, and then you build that gap. That's the kind of sort of way I end up racing a lot of the time. So Interlagos is great for that, because there's only really one big sort of point where you can overtake, and that's going down the massive straight. After that, once you're behind the car, you're kind of, unless you've got a really good run out a particular corner, there's not a lot of overtaking opportunities on it, and that suits me just fine. Because, like I said, I'm probably more suited to endurance racing than sprint racing, just purely down to my style and the kind of. I always think to myself, if I can't get past somebody without making any sort of a contact on them, then I'm probably not fast enough to get, I don't deserve to get past them. So, if I ever dive bomb somebody, trust me, it wasn't meant. I've never intentionally thought I'm going to dive this person to overtake them. It's just not in my nature. It's not in my style. I'm quite sort of defensive driver in that sense. So yeah, I think both Suzuka and Lagos are perfect for that type of racing, because you can just be consistent, and you know, if you're hitting your apexes, then it's difficult for people to get past you. So I love those combinations, and I love, and they get a lot of hate on Gran Turismo, but I love most combinations that suit FF cars.
Oh yeah,
and people, you know, I laugh because you know, you see, you know, in like the keys stream and stuff like that, you'll just refuse to use the FF cars and stuff like that. But I really like FF cars. You can floor them. You just need to get used to the crazy amounts of understeer. But once you kind of master that, then they're like they're great to drive because they're so easy to drive. So yeah, anything that makes life easier out in the track is good for me.
They're easy to drive fast, aren't they? And I like the Audi TT and things like that, or the Peugeot. They're good fun, and I do like those races as well. But now we've got a question from Jeff Kolkoff. It is, when is Dale getting his partner involved?
To be honest with you, my fear is that she would show me up, because she's not slow out in the roads of Motherwell and the surrounding areas. She's got quite a keen right foot on her as well. So my fear is that she would show me up. So she'd probably be quite keen to do a takeover stream, but I think I'll hold out on that one just yet. Maybe as a 10,000 subscriber special, we'll get her involved. But other than that, I think I'll just let her sort of moderate the chat. That's a safe distance for me, I think.
Now we've got a question from your good friend Glasgard. Now Glasgard says, if I can read this out, it says, does Dale see a point in the future where he feels that Just for Men is a positive step forward?
I know. I noticed that when I'm streaming it, when I don't get a haircut. When I get a haircut, it's fine, because obviously this grey does not stand out as much. But that's great. I mean, I don't know if it's lockdown, but I think it's more to do with being a sort of new dad. It's, you know, I'm a worrier by nature. You know, I'll stress over little things. You know, so having a newborn baby during lockdown it's certainly contributed to my unfortunate grey that appears to be showing through, and it does look a lot more prominent on I think the camera adds, they say the camera adds £10, but I'm pretty sure the camera adds grey hair as well. So yeah, thanks for that, Glasgow. Appreciate that.
You know your friends.
I'm just happy I've got hair, to be honest with you. I've still got hair. I'll take that.
That's the thing. Now, from Paul Stanford, we have a question. What are your dreams and goals for you in sim racing?
Oh, it's a great question, Paul. He's I'll give him a quick plug to his race asylum. I'm sure most people have out there in the chat have heard of it. Paul's doing great things with his race asylum project. He's got a lot of people driving for him at the moment, out there in the dailies and the FIA races, and he's setting up a sim racing centre, or he has set up a sim racing centre, and it's just phenomenal. What Paul doesn't know about sim racing isn't worth knowing, I don't think. But yeah, my aspirations, goals, all that type of thing. I mean, I think it sounds cliche, but I think I've already kind of surpassed them. I mean, like I said, you kind of got my background and my history of sort of sim racing there, and it came from playing Forza with a Logitech G920, and Forza is not a good game to play with a wheel. I've quickly realised that when everybody who played it, even Super GT, they all played it on a pad. I didn't realise that at the time. So when I got my wheel and I moved to Gran Turismo Sport, and my goal was just to get in a race against Super GT. That was the only ambition I had. I just thought I just want to race against that Super GT. That would be I'll have made it. So, just went on a driver rating grind, and I got to A+, and found myself in races against Super GT on his live streams and things like that. So, I mean,
Wow.
I was sitting there, telling the wife, I was like, like a excited kid. I'm like, I'm just about to race Super, and she's like, oh, that's really good. I'm so happy for you. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. This is something. There's 4,000 people watching his stream, man. I'm about to race him. I'm starting one place ahead of him on the grid, that type of thing. So, so that was my goal, and I obviously achieved that. I kind of then thought to myself, do you know what? People might be interested in watching somebody who's not that good playing Gran Turismo Sport, because obviously you've got a lot of top guys streaming, Key, Tidgeney, obviously Super GT. These guys are all mega quick, and I thought maybe there's a market. Sounds cynical. I didn't mean a market, but maybe there's just room for people who want to watch. And the thing is, I didn't have any mates who played Gran Turismo Sport, so I kind of thought to myself, well, if I stream, maybe people, like-minded people, will be in the chat and might sort of race against us and stuff like that. So I thought, right, okay, how will I do this? And I just got a PS4 camera, plugged it in, and hit share just to see what would happen. And lo and behold, a couple of people started watching. I don't know even how they found the channel. So that happened. Then I made a video or two, and a couple of people watched it. But we're talking about single-figure numbers here, And so it just kind of went like that. And then I thought it'd be good if I could get 50 subscribers, and that kind of thing happened. So I got 50 subscribers somehow, albeit probably a lot of them were sort of friends and family and stuff, that was just kind of asking, sort of begging for a sub off them, type of thing. So they're like, whatever, probably didn't watch anything. But and then you find out that if you get 100 subscribers, you can change the URL of your YouTube channel to whatever you want. So I thought, if I could get that, I could change it to YouTube, in a DeadEyeDelboy instead of this random combinations of numbers and letters. And I thought, surely more people would be interested if they see it's a proper URL. So I thought, if I could get 100 subs, which I did, like I said, again, slightly miraculously. But at that point, I was just kind of setting the goals, and eventually the goal just became, can I get to 1,000 subscribers? So I thought to myself, the only way I'll be able to even come close to that is if I get a sort of semi-decent setup. The PS4 camera taking me as far as I could, but I couldn't schedule a stream or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I got a gaming laptop. It's the gaming laptop I still use, and it's the most basic gaming laptop you will find. I couldn't sort of justify spending any more money on stuff at this point. So I kind of talked the wife into letting me buy a sort of cheap gaming laptop with the basic minimum specs it would take to plug an Elgato capture card into it. So that's kind of how that panned out, and that then enabled me. It wasn't even the forefront of my mind, but that then enabled me to realise that, wait a minute, I can now also make videos, because I was kind of relying on Share Factory on the PS4, which is quite clumsy, and the videos can be a bit hit or miss. But I thought, wait a minute, I could use this now to make some videos, and that's what I did. So I made some videos, a few people watched them, and then just out of the blue on a live stream when I had, I don't even think I had, if I had 200 subscribers by this point, you'd be lucky, but I was live streaming and I ended up in a race at Bathurst with Momos in it.
Oh, yeah.
And the way that race transpired, I ended up coming down the chase at Bathurst in the last lap with Momos on my tail. And it was like the most epic finish I think I'll ever have to a race. So I ended up making a video out of it. But it was a one and only time. It was like late on a Saturday night, and I thought to myself, I'm going to make a video from this but I'm actually going to make. Previously, I'd just been kind of throwing them together within like half an hour, not really taking any time to edit. But this time I thought, I'm going to edit this, or attempt to edit this properly. So I recorded the video, I recorded the replay footage, and I recorded, I took the live stream footage, and I started cutting and editing it to sort of make it more cinematic.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. So I then published a video. And I can remember I published the video, and it wasn't long after New Year. And I was looking at it, and it had like the usual, like about 10 views in the first 5 hours of it being live, and you're thinking, all right, at least 10 people have watched it. And then I can just remember refreshing it, and it jumped up to like 50 views. And then I refreshed it again, like literally about 2 minutes later, and it had like 75. And I was like,
Wow.
I kept refreshing it, and it kept jumping up by 20, 30, 40, or, it kept going. Before I know it, I was a couple of hundred views on it. And I actually turned to my wife and said, I think YouTube's broke, because this keeps, the view count on this video keeps going up like crazy numbers. Can you check it in your phone? So she went in, and I said, how many views has that video had? And she went, says like 550 odds in mine. And I was like, same here. And then I refreshed it again. It was kept going up and up. And before you know it, it was like, I had 1,000 views. And I was like 900 of those views have came within the last hour. I was like, something's not right. Something's broke. And then it just came up, new subscriber. And I was like, nah, something's not. So I went on to sort of the YouTube to see the studio thing, which gives you the analytics. And I could see that it was getting pushed as a recommended video.
Mm-hmm.
It just kept going and going and going. And I just kept picking up subscribers. So I was like waking up in the morning and I had an extra 40 subscribers. And then it was like, so each day for about a week, I was picking up about 20 subscribers a day, just not doing anything. So it was just insane. So at this point, I had about, so that took me about from, 100 subscribers to maybe 300 odd subscribers in the space of a week or so. And I can remember doing the next live stream, and I'd went from like 5 or 6 people watching the live stream, and I had like 20 people watching the live stream, which is like an insane jump for me. And I was like, no, that's weird. So I was like, how are you here? Why are you watching me? Like one of these things. And they were like, oh, the Momos video. And I was like, wow. So that video just kept working. So, I mean, currently that video is nearly at 15,000 views. It still picks up subscribers for me. It still is one of the reasons some people find the channel. But that in itself was a massive deal in terms of the goal, which became going all the way back. Sorry, I digress. Going all the way back to Paul's question, the goal became get to 1,000 subscribers. And I thought that would take a couple of years. I genuinely thought, because my goal for this year was trying to get 250 subscribers by the end of July. Because bear in mind, I had 50 on the 1st of January.
That's
so that was the goal. And now that goal has been absolutely obliterated. I don't even know what my goal is anymore. I don't even think I have one. I think I just like enjoying streaming and making videos, and whatever happens now. I'm like that. I've not got any aspirations of being the next Super GT or anything like that, because that's a 1 in a million chance that kind of thing happens to you, because you see how hard guys like Key and Pigeony and Rory and all these guys working basic ollie, how much effort they put into it, and they've got about 10%, if even that, of what Super GT's got in terms of subs. So it's my goal was 1,000 subscribers, and I think anything beyond that is just the cherry on top of the cake, So
Well, to hit that in literally just a few months is brilliant. That is a really great achievement, and you have a fantastic community. There's no doubt. When I've been organising it in the last couple of weeks, they always said you've got to get DeadEye on, and I've been watching a few of your streams and thought, oh, that's the question.
That's a massive, Hugh. That's a massive thing. That was one of the sort of byproducts. So and one of the things that I could never have imagined, because you're just thinking about getting the numbers of subscribers up, and you forget that every time somebody hits subscribe, it's a person that might tune into your live stream or whatever, or might comment on your videos, and everybody who does that. I'm one of these people that does it on other people's channels. So, but everybody has a potential to add to your sort of experience on the game. And I make no bones about it. The community that follows my channel, they're honestly second to none as far as I know. I go into a lot of streams, and enjoy a lot of streams, and the communities are great. But I'm not going to deny I am biased. It is my stream and the community of people that contribute to it, but they make the stream because, let's face it, they're not tuning in to see me to admire my skill level, because I'm not anywhere near the sort of top level of driver that some of the streamers are. I can kind of compete to a level. I can get into the A+, and I can race in the daily lobbies with a lot of them. But I mean, I'm not. They're not tuning in. They're tuning in because it's not just. I'm just the guy that's on screen, and I've created a channel. But now I think people are genuinely coming into the channel because it's somewhere to meet up and chat and all that kind of stuff. And you'll notice that we all kind of move around. When I'm not streaming, a lot of us end up, we all just go, right, who's streaming now? Like, or Podium streaming, let's jump into his stream, or PX Cam streaming, let's jump into his stream, or whatever. We kind of do that. Or, Darren stream now, I've noticed a lot of us just gravitate towards like Darren streams and stuff like that. And you'll probably find it yourself when you stream, Hugh. You'll see a lot of the same names, because we all kind of, I think everybody kind of, gets on and enjoys a certain level of stream where there's room to speak in it. It's not too crowded. It's not too tense. It's kind of fun. There's a level of competitiveness, but not overly competitive. But all that kind of that community is just, I could never have imagined it being like that when I started streaming. And the guys who moderate my channel and stuff like that, I mean, they've been so supportive to help me and just encourage me, because there's a lot of times I've thought about just jacking it in, because I've just been like, I'm not good enough to race here. People shouldn't be watching me. I'm hopeless. But they keep you going. They really do.
It's normally, I found it kind of subscriber 62, and you think you put all this effort, and then it's like, hopefully people are liking what you're seeing. But it can be quite tough. But no, it's great to hear the original story, the ups and the downs of what it's like to be a YouTuber and to race and to do these racing games. But to get to A+, you have to be extremely good. So you are definitely very, very good. There's absolutely no doubting about that. And to be able to race against Super GT and Momos is definitely proves that you've got plenty of skill. I think people just love listening to you. What's been fantastic? I've only asked about 3 questions.
The accent.
And you've been able to answer brilliantly and made my life very, very easy tonight for sure. But no, it's absolutely brilliant. Now, we've got a great question from Gary Gilmore. He says, how far were you in your driver rating before you got your wheel and rig?
That's a good question. I think, when I started playing, I've only ever driven in GT Sport with a wheel and a rig. I had the pad for about a week as I waited on the stuff, as my Fanatec wheel to arrive. So I kind of did all the kind of driver school stuff. But my driver, in terms of just improving my driving rating and stuff like that, I don't think I even did a daily race without my wheel. And I think my pad skills would be that bad. I just don't think it would. I mean, I think I could maybe drive one in automatic using a pad, but I would just be horrific at it. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the rig and the wheel, just make the game for me. So, you know, I just kind of use that to get the immersion and just kind of improve slowly but surely. To, you know, just grinding my driver rating up, like from what was it, E to getting into A plus. But I mean, I don't know about you, Hugh, but in terms of I couldn't play Gran Turismo without a wheel. It just wouldn't be the same to me. I admire people who can play it on the pad and be really competitive and enjoy it. But for me, I struggle because I need that immersion. That I need to feel like I'm actually racing this car, and you don't get that otherwise, you know, any other way. So, yeah, I mean, I couldn't have got to A plus without my wheel and my rig, and I kind of got there fairly quickly. Staying there is another matter, though. And I done a video quite recently on my channel. People might have seen it, where I end up with my US account. Got the SR got killed on it basically because my pedals, the brake pedals, stuck on.
Yeah.
Dan Turner was in the race at the time, so there was a couple of races back to back where basically I didn't go off the grid and people ran in at the back of me because my brake pedal was stuck on. I ended up, the game thought I brake checked them, so it gave me horrific penalties, and my SR got killed. So I ended up in lower lobbies. See, getting out of lower lobbies is so difficult once you're back in them, because you know, my video shows you try and stay clean, but sometimes people are so erratic round about you, playing obviously a different level of the game, where they're just maybe happy to play in that level of lobby where it's a bit like, you know, bumper cars, a bit like Forza. They're just like, oh well, shove him off the track, you know. So I end up, my driver rating and that was just getting worn down to the point where I was like, is this what it's like to be stuck in these lobbies? So I made the video about it, and it's a video that's done pretty well. I think it's like in the past like 3 or 4 days, and it's got 2,500 views. So it's hit a point with people where people have thought, I can, and I think that's one of the things about making videos. Sorry, I'm going off at all sorts of tangents, but
no, it's good. It's great
for people out there who have got YouTube channels, and like I said, I know guys like Podium and Darren. Video, I mean, the live people live stream a lot, and live streams are great, because of the whole community aspect of it. See, you grow a channel, videos are key, and it's not just making videos about your races, because people can watch live streams if they want to see a race. You'll find a live stream at somewhere in the world for Gran Turismo, if it's not on YouTube, on Twitch or whatever. But if you want to grow your channel, make videos, but make videos that people can relate to, because you'll click on a video if you want to know more about it, because you think, that sounds like something that happens to me, so I'm going to watch this video. So things like being stuck in lower lobby hell, that obviously hit a point with people, because a lot of people clicked on that video. So it's doing well, the video. But yeah, that's the thing. It's really crucial. Make videos if you want to grow your channel, because I could probably talk all day about that kind of thing, because I've just went through it all. But it's such a key thing. It's such an overlooked thing, because I thought at the start you could stream your way to 1,000 subs. It's really not.
It's difficult, isn't it?
Possible can, but it'll take you a long, long time, because in a live stream you might only pick up 1 or 2 subs, because people don't know if they're not subbed to a channel, you won't know they're live streaming, and YouTube isn't great for promoting live streams. But a video, a 10-minute video, a 15-minute video, people will click on it, and if more people click on it, YouTube, the algorithm picks it up and promotes it out there. But again, it needs to be something that people want to click on. So it's very hit and miss. You can fire out a lot of, for every deck of cards, you'll have 4 aces in the pack. So you've just got to take your chances with them. But if you're thinking about making a video, make it something that people want to click on, because that can grow your channel exponentially.
So that's fantastic. I did think about doing a video recently about and calling it what it's like when you're a BS driver, and it could probably get different interpretations from that in itself. But it was like
that's that. And people want to know. People want to watch videos, and I think Super GT was kind of the master of that, the master of the craft of making videos that people want to click on and watch, because they can do them in a style that people can relate to.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. No, it's really, really good. So what would you say your best results so far on Gran Turismo?
Well, I mean, I did win an FIA race, which was it was worth about 240 points.
Wow.
But I mean, that sticks out because I'd always kind of shied away from FIA races, and I think I will continue to do that after yesterday's experience. But that was interesting. I hadn't really. I was always a bit kind of nervous at FIA races when I started Gran Turismo Sport, and I thought, these are all serious. You've got to qualify, and you can't just time trial your way to a good lap time and then start. Pick a race to go into. You've actually, it's like proper racing here. You've got one shot, 2 shots at whatever qualifying. So, but it was Adventure Racing, or Adventure James, as his channel's now called, was streaming, and it was a Group 4 race at Suzuka. And I hadn't done any previous races, but I loved Suzuka and I loved Group 4 and I like FF cars. Yeah. And I just thought, well, that sounds like a combination I could sort of get on board with. So I jumped in, just had to sign for Audi because I wanted to use for Audi. So I literally went in, signed for Audi and jumped in the race, and it was on his live stream. So I went out, did my qualifying lap, and lo and behold, to my amazement, I qualified in pole position. So I thought, something's not right here, I think there's been a mistake. But sure enough, did the race and won the race. It was my first FIA race and I won it. And I thought, this FIA stuff, so this is easy.
A walk in the park.
Aye, no bother. So that was my best result. So I won an FIA race, and it was, like I said, it was a sort of AA plus lobby, so it was worth about 240 odd points. So to this day, I think that's still my best finish because, I think I've probably come into Gran Turismo Sport at the most sort of competitive, sweaty time that's ever been out there for Gran Turismo Sport. The level just seems to keep going up and up and up, and there's more people streaming, and there's more people sort of making their way through, and sort of younger drivers coming through and stuff. So it's getting more and more difficult out there to be competitive at the kind of high AA plus level. But to this day, that's definitely my best result, an FIA win for 240 odd points.
That's fantastic. That's brilliant. Now, I've got a question here from Henry Bernal. Del, when you started with the wheel, what bad habit did you think was keeping you from improving your times and getting you up the DR ranks in Gran Turismo Sport?
I mean, there's one that is still a pretty bad habit for me, and it's probably a bad habit for a lot of people, and that is just relying on a ghost. What happens is I'll go into the daily races and I'll see which sort of track combination suits me best for that week or whatever, and then I'll jump. That'll be the first one I'll do. And then I'll see who the top times are and what car they're using. So I'll tend to go for that combination, pick the car that's sort of dominating the leaderboard. And even if it doesn't particularly suit me, I'll drive it until I can kind of master it enough that I can be competitive in it. But generally that will mean following one of the top 10 ghosts. So I'll set it, 3 or 4 tenths ahead of me, and then I'll go. I'll chase it, and I'll always try and get within a second of it. If you can get it within a second of, say, the top time in EMEA, you'll generally be in the top 100, and that'll should give you a good daily race starting position if you want to grind your DR. However, happens so often. You get used to that ghost and time trialing with that ghost in front of you. When you go to do the race and the ghost isn't there, and you find yourself in pole position, man, people will behind you must wonder how you ended up in pole position as you kind of plot your way around the track about 2 seconds slower than your qualifying time, and everybody else is like driving at the pace they qualified at because they probably didn't rely on a ghost for half as much time as I did. So I've kind of slowly tried to move away from that. I'll do some quality time with the ghost, or a lot of it, but then I'll make a point of trying to replicate it without the ghost. And using the brake markers was a big crutch for me as well. So maybe only within the last couple of months I've ditched the cones to take off that assist, and I've found that's actually made me quicker, purely because you have to then learn the track better, and you can then pick out little bits here and there that are good sort of guides. Because if you know that the brake marker on the game is telling you to brake between the 150 and the 100 board, but in reality, in the car you're driving that week, you can actually brake almost at the 100 board. You've got an advantage right away over all the other drivers out there who are using the cones as a crutch. And also, if you accidentally wipe out the cones, you don't get affected. You can't see them, so you might hit them, but they don't slow your car down. Whereas the people who are using the cones on certain tracks, sometimes you inevitably can't avoid them. And if people didn't know this, the cones, if you hit a cone, it takes about 3 or 4 miles an hour off your top speed. So it can actually be quite penal to use them. So try not to use the cones and try not to rely on a ghost are the two things that I would say. If I could go back, start again, I would sort of do that from the start and be better at not having them on, because I'm kind of still not super comfortable without the ghost there, but I'll get there.
Yeah,
I hope.
Fantastic. We have some good comments here from Arky74. That must be the one of the night, actually. It says, a pandemic can sure boost the level of driving. And I'm sure it can. And that's the comment of the night, I think, so far. And Loopy Racing has said that subtitles aren't working. So I'm sure he can understand us both.
Oh, dear me.
Yeah.
I did say in the comments at the start when the kind of stream was put up earlier on today, I did say a good sort of training for this, if you want to view this stream, would be to watch Train Spotting and then maybe a couple of hours of Billy Connolly, and that'll get your ear sort of more tuned in to what you're about to hear. So, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. That it's very easy to understand. Indeed,
this is because this is my posh speaking voice. I'm much more slang than this in day-to-day life.
When I get my brother-in-law on the phone, I can't work if he's been drinking slightly and he gives us a call, and I can't make out. And I'm Scottish. I lived in Glasgow for many years. My wife's Glaswegian. And I can't make out what he's saying. I have to kind of give it to my wife and say, I don't know. You can have to make it out. But there we go. Now, we've got a great question here. So my wife's saying I'm speaking too loudly now that she's heard me. But here we go. Now I've gone and lost my sense of my track there. Oh, yes. Now, next week, to answer Richie's question, we have Podium on the show. So yes, he'll be one of your. You were mentioning him earlier.
Yeah, Podium's. He'll be a great guest, too. I don't mind plugging him for you, because he is the most entertaining live streamer out there. He's absolutely second to none. There's nothing this guy can't do. He can dance, he can sing, and he'll give you it all during a GT Sport live stream. He will give you it all. He is 100% or nothing. This guy is. I actually thought, I was like, is this guy for real? When I tuned into his stream at first, but this guy is. He's genuine, friendly. He's engaging. The guy can talk about anything. He's so knowledgeable about so many things. But ultimately, he's a really quick driver, and his streams are highly entertaining. So if people haven't seen him, and next week's going to be their first sort of view of him, I mean, I can't wait to see it. I'll be honest with you. I'll be sitting down with my popcorn because I would imagine if you think you might not need to even you might not need to ask many questions, Hugh, because Podium will be able to give you an answer. Oh yeah, this guy's good.
We might start a little bit later next week, only because I know that Podium works late, and to get here for a 9 o'clock start from America might be a bit difficult. So Podium, I know you're watching there. We can give you a bit more time and maybe potentially start at 9:30 or maybe even 10 o'clock if it's easier for you. And we've got Damo saying Podium's victory dance after his FIA win was a hoot. So it must have been.
I've seen it. I watched it. It was brilliant. And he's also very respectful. He also salutes the anthem, and stands and salutes for the anthem as the camera pans along the grid.
Very patriotic.
He's one of a kind. This Podium, an absolutely brilliant guy.
That's fantastic. Now I'm just quickly searching for any questions that I have missed here as we go through. There've been so many. With great questions as well. Oh yes, here we are. From Fafnir Danisgold, I think if I've pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, good luck pronouncing that. Just call him Fafnir.
Fafnir Danisgold. More general question for Hugh and Dale. Why have so few streamers done an Olympic TT stream this week? I find it compelling viewing, and I know Dale was enjoying PX Cam the other night.
Fafnir, this is by the way, Hugh, if you're not aware, Fafnir actually hails from Glasgow. Don't be fooled by his name.
All right, I thought it was from the Netherlands or something.
He's a buckfast drinking Scot, so he's one of the early watchers of my channel. I think he must have just been pleased to hear the Scots dialect on a stream. But it's a good question because it's kind of, I've been kind of sort of flummoxed by the lack of them because I've watched PH Cam's Olympic qualifying stream and it was brilliant to watch. It was just getting absolutely immersed, watching somebody trying to shave off hundreds and tenths of seconds. I love watching it because you can see the sort of tension that builds in a lap when somebody is time trialing. There's something about it. Doubtinator had a stream. Now, it was maybe only about an hour or so, and I watched it. I just kind of looked. I never even really contributed, but I watched it. And again, he was just resetting and going again for over an hour. And, that stream, Doubtinators, because I went back into watch, because I think I missed the start of it, so I kind of went back into kind of watch some of it the next day. And the stream had like over 2,000 views.
Wow.
Now, I was like, that's insane. Doubtinator, maybe his previous live stream maybe got 400 views, which is pretty normal because, I mean, my streams get kind of in that kind of ballpark. A really good stream of mine will maybe get 700, 800 views. So, but he was into the thousands, and I was like, that proves the point. People like it. Now, I kind of, on Keys 25 stream, I kind of moaned a bit about it because Keys dead against doing it, and I kind of was trying to champion the cause. I was like, no, do it, and there was people saying no, and no, do it. He was saying no, boring. People don't want to watch time trial and stream. No, people love time trial and streams as far as I can see because, like I said, you get to see somebody trying hard. They're trying their hardest and they're committed to what they're doing, and it's a bit like watching, like rally and stuff like that on TV. In terms of motorsport, rallying is like a massive favourite of mine. And one of the reasons I love watching rally was just watching Colin McRae basically time trialing. I was like, he was my hero, So if anybody could shave half a second off a hairpin, then it would be him. And just watching him doing it was just phenomenal. So Fafnir, I completely agree. I don't know why more people haven't done it. I haven't done it yet, but I haven't streamed since last week, so I think my next stream could incorporate that. But yeah, it's just been a time issue for me not being able to live stream, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting time trial. So I might try it later on in the week to see what it's like, because I haven't. I think it's on for a wee while, and it should be quite fun. But no, here we go. Now it's there's been lots of good questions there. Podium asks, how long have you been playing Gran Turismo?
Since basically lockdown, the original lockdown. I started playing it in March 2020, round about then. It must have been round about then. So not that long. So I probably started seriously playing it when I got my. Well, I say it couldn't have been March 2020 because I got my wheel. I got my wheel in April 2020. So that was really when I got my wheel in April 2020. That was when I started playing. So not that long in the grand scheme of Gran Turismo Sports life. So I'm late to the party. So I'm obviously trying to make up for lost time, getting every last sort of. So that's the thing. I mean, a lot of people are probably fed up with the game by now, or kind of it's waning for them, and they're fed up with a lot of combinations. But a lot of these combinations are still new to me, so I've still got a lot of life left in it. Yeah,
no, you bring a real enthusiasm and just a lovely nature to the whole live streaming and gaming scene. It's very easy to listen to and to watch, and as you do, you're very competitive, and we all feel your frustration, especially at the moment with the BS levels and all this stuff, and the aggressive nature of the driving in many of the lobbies is just incredible sometimes. You feel like you're just sometimes a magnetic attraction for someone to hit you or take you out for no. You haven't touched anybody, you haven't done anything wrong.
I know.
They just aim for you.
I drive in hood view, and I spend most of my time sort of looking at the radar in the bottom right hand corner, just sort of bracing myself for the impact.
Yeah, you have to watch the radar all the time. Isn't it? That's the thing.
Not good for being it doesn't help you get any quicker when you're racing with looking at the bottom right hand corner of your screen. It's not good for that.
Aye. Now here's a good question for you from Henry Bernal. He says, Del, describe Iron Brew to a clueless American like him.
Describe Iron Brew. Well, I actually, they've not sponsored me, but I do have a which actually I've not opened it yet. So
that's it.
Cheers, Henry. I would describe it sort of like a strange sort of fizzy, drinkable bubble gum. There's no fruit flavour or anything I can describe it to. It's just a sort of like a weird flavour of bubble gum that's fizzy and drinkable. But yeah, it's a staple diet of Scotland. So we invented, the TV, and I'm pretty sure John Logie Baird was drinking Iron Brew at the time. So that says it all. I mean, we wouldn't be sitting here communicating like this if it wasn't for Iron Brew, Henry. So
similarly, you can get Iron Brew in Texas. I've got a friend of mine from Fife who immigrated to Texas, and he managed to get Iron Brew in Texas. Yeah. So you might have to look online and see if you can get it delivered. Yeah,
I would strongly recommend trying to source a can of it, Henry, and sample the delights, because we can't really describe it.
That's the thing. It's RK74 said, drinkable bubble gum. I'll pass on that.
I know, I didn't do it much. I said, massive injustice. I'll probably have a lawsuit from bars in the morning waiting on me. But yeah, that's the way I would describe it.
That's okay. They're very funny with their adverts. They're always very, very good. So I'm sure there won't be any problem at all. Now, I know you're all loving the interview, and it's fantastic to have DeadEyeDelboy on the show. But if you're a budding sim racer and you think, you know what, I would like to answer some of these kind of questions, then get in touch. You can email me at hughhatrick@gmail.com, and we can book in a slot and you can get the same kind of treatment with all the chat and your subs asking you lots of great questions, like we've had tonight. So yes, let me know and we will get you in. And of course, next week we have Podium, and in 2 weeks' time we have AMR Daniel. But after that, the calendar is open. So if you would like to come on the show, that would be brilliant. And also, if you like what you're watching, which I'm sure you are, hit the subscribe button to join our channel, and you can see all the other videos that we've done with people like Super GT, with Darren Turner, and with many others who are in the stream tonight. It would be fantastic to have you along. So here we go. So your final, in terms of tips for improving people's driving, that's always a big question. How would you say is the best way to improve your driving?
Well, I would say don't try and drive with as few driving aids as possible. Get your traction control off, get your brake assists off, get all of those things off, kind of just set it onto the expert level in Gran Turismo Sport, because when I started playing, that was what I did, and it was hard because I was spinning out a lot and stuff like that. But I thought, well, if I want to be able to compete at a decent level, I'm going to have to drive the way the best drivers are driving, and they're all doing this for a reason. They're not using traction control because it must slow you down. They're not using brake assist because it must slow you down. All these things, I thought, these are all slowing people down. That's why they're not using them. So get them off. Just, it's like a bike with stabilising wheels. There's only one way to learn. After you've maybe had a sort of tentative sort of go, just take a leap of faith, get the assists off, and learn. And it is hard at first, and you will be worse. You will be slower at first. It will feel horrible. You will want to go back to all the old crutches that you used to rely on, but ultimately, just grind it out and get through it, push through it, and you'll come out the other side a quicker driver. And watch what the fastest guys are doing. Study their ghosts. Look at what they're doing. Look at their brake inputs. Look at their accelerating and look at the acceleration inputs. Slow it down to see where are they turning in for corners. Is it it looks like the 100-yard marker, but if you slow it down, it's actually just before that or just after that. And these wee finer points can be the difference between a couple of tenths on a corner. And before you know it, it all adds up, and you might pick it up and you've ended up taking half a second off your best lap. And I would just say do that. I would take a plunge in the deep end. Just get rid of all your assists and go for it.
Fantastic. Well, just to let everybody know there that we've been over 30 in the chat and 30 watching, which is absolutely brilliant. In fact, you are second only to Super GT. That is a record, which is brilliant. And that just shows how much people absolutely love you and follow you in the community, because that's a fantastic record. I've been watching these numbers go up and up, which is just fantastic. But it is all your community that is coming along to watch.
Like I said,
and
best in the business.
Absolutely, who have turned up tonight, which is great. Now, what would you like to say to your community who are watching here before we round things up?
Well, I mean, I think I probably can't thank them enough. Words probably don't do it justice. But unfortunately, I don't have millions of pounds, so I can't send them money. Recently, obviously, getting to 1,000 subscribers has helped monetize. That's one of the things about the channel. You can monetize your channel when you get to 1,000 subscribers. So I was able to do that. I didn't really know what that would entail, but one of the things I wanted to be able to do with the channel was have the community tab, because then I could post things. I could post. I've seen Womble Leader, guys like that doing it, posting things on their community tab, telling them about upcoming videos or just engaging with them, just asking, for their opinions on stuff like that. So I wanted that community tab. So I needed 1,000 subscribers to get there. But it's just, you basically, to get that tab, you have to monetize. And that gives you access to the community tab. to be able to put adverts on your videos and all that kind of stuff. So it was one of these things where I thought, get access to the community channel, the tab, because I want to be able to, tell them if I'm going to live stream, and I want to be able to put it on YouTube. I don't want to have to rely on putting it on like Twitter, and there's maybe only a handful of the guys are using Twitter, and then you've got a lot of kind of people wondering when they're going to be streaming next and stuff like that. So the fact that these guys make the live streams what they are, it just encourages people to subscribe, because people will subscribe and they'll come into the live stream and then they'll stay and then they'll come back for another live stream. So it builds it up. So you eventually the numbers have increased where you're getting regularly, bigger numbers. And instead of streaming to 5 and 6 people, you're streaming to 45 people. And obviously it's nothing compared to what the bigger streamers are streaming to, but it's huge to me. 45 people in a stream for me is massive. See, just you mentioning about 30 odd people in this stream watching this, and that blows my mind.
It's fantastic. It's brilliant.
I'm like, no, that's bizarre. So, I mean, unfortunately, like I said, I can't send them all money. But if I do win the Euro Millions or something like that, I might be able to do that. It's probably breaching a YouTube term and commission. But yeah, I mean, they are the best community that, money can't buy. And believe you me, the generosity when if you just need to go back and look at the live stream. I've not even been able to look back on the live stream where we hit the 1,000 subscribers yet, because I get emotional just actually kind of thinking about it.
I was watching it.
I was really emotional at the time. And it just, and then when I found out that the 1,000th subscriber, it was one of the guys in the chat reached out to me to let me know it was his son that was the number 1,000 when it came to being the subscribers. And his son was just loves Grantras with Sport and loves my channel, amongst other channels. But what she's out for my channel when I'm streaming and stuff like that. I mean, that kind of blew my mind. So I kind of found out a little bit of the backstory in that, and that kind of just, again, his name's Byron, and he's got his own little YouTube channel that his dad runs for him called Sparkplug Kid. And there's a few guys in the channel here who've played Wreckfest against them and stuff like that. Things like that. I'm thinking my channel's kind of responsible for that. Like I said, it's unbelievable to have that. And somebody had referred to kind of messaged me off stream and said, you've got, fans that love your streams and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't have fans. That's not what I've got. I've got a community of people that just come into my stream and we kind of just enjoy the game. I'm just facilitating it. I'm just the guy who basically has got a glorified Zoom meeting on the go, and people can come in and join in. So that kind of blows my mind when I think about my community like that. So I can't thank them enough. And trust me, having monetized the channel, I started, I got people donated, which was just didn't, again, I can't even go back and watch these streams because I might start crying. I get emotional. Becoming a dad has made me highly strong in terms of emotions. I cry over stupid things now. But does that it's just, I can't even go back and watch these streams because I'll break down, and it's just unbelievable. Basically, the community. So I can't thank them enough.
Oh, that's brilliant! Absolutely fantastic. Well, it's been well over an hour of one of the best interviews we've ever had on the show, without a doubt.
Time has flown by.
It certainly has, and I know we've all got responsibilities and commitments. And
we do.
That, so I don't want to keep you too long. But look, thank you to everyone who's been watching tonight and asking the great questions, and of course to your good self, DeadEyeDelboy, all the way from Glasgow. Who has given us a fantastic insight into what it's like to be a YouTuber and sim racer, and who has achieved a huge amount in just a few months there playing the game. And we wish you all the best for the rest of
Thank
the
you.
year, and I'm sure we will see much, much more. And then you're always welcome to come back on the show whenever you would like to give us updates of what's
Absolutely,
been
it's been
happening.
an absolute pleasure, Hugh. And just a quick thanks to you as well, Hugh, because there's not enough people doing what you're doing something that, I found out about your channel when I met Super GT mentioned on one of your streams that he was going to be doing an interview. So I immediately went over to your channel and checked out and subscribed and all that, because I thought this is brilliant. Somebody's actually interviewing guys about sim racing, and that's just doesn't seem to be happening anywhere else. So your channel is the place to go to check that kind of stuff out. So if anybody is only tuned in because obviously they knew about my channel and wanted to watch this interview, you need to go back and check out Hugh's back catalogue of interviews, because if he's not interviewed them yet, I think he's interviewed just about everybody that you can think of, including Super GT a couple of times. Rory's interview was a great interview as well.
We've had Rory. Yep,
Rory's, I watched that. Womble's been on it recently. Of course, Darren's interview was quality. So I mean, like I said, if you've not subbed to Hugh, you've got to sub to Hugh, because he's doing a fine job, and just kind of bringing a little bit of a different element to the whole sim racing world. So I appreciate your efforts, Hugh, and I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, that's very kind. Stay on the line before we go, and I'll speak to you in a couple of minutes there, just as we keep going. But to everybody who's been watching and in the chat and asking questions tonight, it's been absolutely fantastic. And you're a fantastic community. And please, if you haven't already subscribed to Delboy's channel, the link is for once in the description. I'm learning how to do it. For a while, I used to say it was in there, and it wasn't in there because I thought I'd done it when I hadn't. But now your description is definitely in there. Your channel description, the link is in there. But to everyone, it is, of course, our final line. Drive fast and try not to crash. And if you do, you might just win the race at the first corner. Take care, everyone, and bye just now.